What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, what's going on with other factors as well with the markets, what you should be watching for as time goes on. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. Anyways, NIO has this resistance around this $5 area, not to mention 5.09. We also have support around this 4.75 zone to be watching for. NIO has been stuck in this range for quite some time. And the question is what's going to happen moving forward. I want to provide some updates about this, but let me just make it very clear. I am anticipating some upside coming to NIO over the next couple of trading days as we approach the June deliveries reports. So the June deliveries report that comes out is going to be for the month of May, by the way. I think NIO has some strong numbers coming out. So I personally believe that there's a very good chance we could see some upside. So I'm going to break down exactly why that is a little bit later into the video. But first, let's talk about the big data coming out for tomorrow, what's happening with the markets. I just want to make it very clear that for now, the market is dipped a little bit because we had quite a few Fed speakers over the last couple of days. They've caused the treasury yields to start going up. So like the 10-year started going up. And a lot of money is kind of flowing away from a lot of equities and kind of moving its way into different yields right now. So yields are going up as the Fed is preparing to hold rates for higher for longer. The stock market dipped as a result of that. The VIX was also due for a bounce, at least historically speaking, looking at the level we were at. And that's what's exactly that has happened so far as the market's dipping. Now, despite the fact that the market has dipped a bit, we have important data coming out for tomorrow. Tomorrow being Thursday, May 30th, 2024. 1 hour before the market opens, we have important GDP numbers coming out, the GDP growth rate, not to mention the GDP price index. That's important to understand how prices are looking. But the growth rate, is going to be key for how we end up continuing because it's going to give us more ideas of how strong the economy is looking. And we also have initial jobless claims in the morning. So we will see how the GDP numbers look like, GDP sales, GDP growth, and our jobs numbers in the morning before the market opens. And besides that, the rest of the data is going to be very, very minor. But look for quite a bit of data coming out in the morning. It's going to cause a big move in the markets, and we'll see how this ends up affecting NIO and the overall market. Now, for the fear and greed index, right now the market is getting closer to fear. We're still quite neutral. We're seeing greed actually kind of slowing down right now in terms of our overall sentiment. Momentum is still kind of slowing down as well on that end. The puts and call option positioning is now going back to fears. We're seeing more puts being bought, more shorts are piling in, and we'll be watching to see what this also leads to. Market volatility is going back up to neutral. The VIX is currently at the 50 daily moving average, so we'll see what happens with that. And that's something else that's worth noting. Now, I also wanted to note that after the market is closed, we just had Salesforce announce its earnings, and things are not looking too good for them. The shares are down about 16%, almost 17% now, because they had their first revenue miss since 2016. Not the best of news for them. Their EPS was a beat, but revenue was a miss at $9.13 billion. And their overall forecasts are still aligned with expectations, kind of decent overall. So forecasts are decent for the fiscal year, very, very close to expectations. But unfortunately, they missed on revenue and things are not as great for that. That's the first time this happened since 2016 or 2006, excuse me. That's why the share price is down quite a bit. Anyways, now let's talk about NIO. We had some negative news that came out yesterday. So basically, Bank of America cut its price target on NIO. Before they were saying it's going to be going up to about $6.50. Now they're saying it's going to go up to about $5.90. So overall, they're still bullish, but I think that it's not really that massive of a difference. I still think that there is potential for us to get up to $6 nonetheless. So for them to be cutting their target, I don't think this is the best time to be doing it, considering we're about to get some good data. But we'll see what earnings also bring after all the data comes out. Also for NIO, in case you guys didn't see my previous video, the reason why I am anticipating some upsides because of this. So right here, basically, NIO has about 15,400 deliveries between May 1st and May 26th. Now, basically, there are a few days left in May, and they managed to do 5,400 deliveries in just a single week. So that means in the last couple of days in May, they could easily do another 2,000 plus, which would put our total deliveries at 17,500. So if they do 17,500 deliveries, they're easily going to break what they did in April. That's going to show some great growth month over month and year over year, in my personal opinion. Because in April, they did 15,600. They're already at 15,400 in May as of the 26th of May. So they're easily going to do close to 17,500, in my opinion, if not more than that. So if they do 17,500, good growth month over month and year over year, that's going to be bullish for the share price. And I think that once they make that announcement, it's going to cause upside. So we're most likely going to see more upside for NIO, at least as we start June or as we get very close to it. As long as there's no major bad news in terms of like geopolitics and regulation, stuff like that, NIO should get a nice run in my personal opinion. On top of this, there's been a lot of talk about the EL7. That is actually making a lot of headlines right now, at least for the Netherlands. And we're starting to see a lot of attention about how it's being used to help create a more sustainable future. Very, very awesome stuff. At least there are a lot of videos coming out about this and a lot of attention. Bank of America Securities gave NIO a neutral rating. Not bad whatsoever. They did cut their price target though, but not the end of the world because they're still bullish nonetheless. Price price ratio is basing because NIO is gaining some strength. It's trying to base very nicely. Historically, Thursdays are only green about 50% of the time. Fridays are green about 53% of the time. And June, although it's not the strongest of months, July does tend to be stronger for NIO. That June-July period could be adjusted, but we'll have to see what changes because I do think that starting off June, we still have a lot of potential to be very strong. And watch for volatility around 1 p.m. and also during the final hour of the trading day. That's it for data from that end. Volume is only at about 37 million. It's a little bit below average, not too crazy overall. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the share price. As of right now, there's not really much going on with NIO. It's just consolidating back and forth price action. We have this 4.7 area as our support. We have $5 as resistance. Back and forth price action continues to perpetuate on the shorter time frames. So we're going to likely continue to consolidate for some time. But when you zoom out, the 4 hour is showing some strength because NIO already dipped so much, and we've been trying to base at 4.7. We've been holding that very nicely, so there's a chance it might try to push a little higher towards our 50 EMA. So in my personal opinion, we could be approaching the $5 area. NIO does have potential in my personal opinion, and we'll be watching to see how this ends up moving going forward. I think that for now it's going to chop around. It also depends on data and such. It might just continue to just trade sideways, but once we get to the month of June, there could be a nice push that's coming, at least to the upside, as we have some gaps to fill above, not to mention the fact that deliveries are most likely to be pretty good for the company, in my personal opinion. So short term, for tomorrow, we might see a lot of choppy price action. We're just continuing to consolidate. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually retest this low. 4.8, come down there, then push back up to about 5. Just continue to trade sideways for now. But as we approach the month of June, there's likely going to be more upside. How about for Tesla? What do I see for Tesla? We're kind of dipping a bit in the after hours, but also Tesla's just like NIO. We're just trading sideways. 173 is our support zone. We have resistance at 180. Look for a dip towards 173, then a push back up and just lots of sideways price action. That's likely going to make up Tesla's volatility. For SPY, we're looking a bit more bearish because we had this head and shoulders like structure leading to this rejection. So it's right here. This is the head and shoulders. The left shoulder is here. The head is up here. Then we have like a right shoulder. But then on top of that, we're approaching the support around 524.8. If we do end up opening below that tomorrow, I do expect that gap to fill. So if you look at the daily time frame on SPY, it's quite evident we have this gap to fill. We're going to likely fill this gap all the way down to 523.5. And then somewhere between 523 to 521, we might try to base before we try to bounce again. But there is some downside potential in my personal opinion. For Nvda is showing some strength. There's no sign of this breaking down yet. It's actually outperforming the market relatively well. And if we zoom in a little bit and we look at the 1 hour time frame, you will notice that so far we're actually holding these levels very nicely. We have this 1150 area as our resistance. I'm looking at the 20 EMA support at 1135. So we're kind of stuck between these levels. We will see what Nvidia does from here, if we'll get a bounce or not. But overall, it's holding up relatively well, in my personal opinion. For the triple Q, we're actually dipping a little bit as well, similar to SPY. We have resistance currently at 455 and 457, and then we also have this gap to fill all the way down to 453. I favor that it might lose 455 and start dipping down to fill this gap. That is a very, very probable possibility in my opinion. For Apple's been on a very, very nice slight uptrend, but one thing worth noting is that we're kind of consolidating. So look at resistance at 190.5, the entire range, and then 192. We have support at 189.3, followed by the 200 EMA at 188. As of right now, we're just going back and forth and back and forth. So we will see how things end up moving, and then we will see what ends up developing from here. But in my personal opinion, I think that right now we're just kind of trading sideways. We'll have to see how things end up kind of continuing from here. And I think that there's a very, very good chance we might try to pop a little bit and come back down, just trade sideways and consolidate in this range for the time being. That's all I'm really seeing on Apple for now. Just for a few more, I know a lot of people are interested in others. IWM Russell 2000 is approaching 200 as support. If we fail to open above 200 tomorrow, look for 200 as our next target. And we have resistance around 203.5, so we have to give this some time. For Coinbase is also continuing to dip. We have a head and shoulders like structure. If we lose 233, we're going to be looking for a bigger dip all the way down towards the 200 EMA at 225. And we have resistance at 235 to 237. So I do favor some downside as a strong possibility. For Amazon, my personal opinion, also has downside potential. We have resistance currently at 182. We have support all the way down here at 180.75. We could pop and then drop or even dip from here. So we'll be watching to see what Amazon does. For Meta, in my opinion, has some downside potential. If we end up losing the support, we could be dipping all the way down to about 471. If we end up hitting the support, we'll see if we end up losing this level or not. But I do anticipate that there might be a little dip coming to Meta. Anyways, for a few more like AMC and GameStop, I just want to note that GameStop looks a little bearish right now. We lost our support at 22.5. Going to be looking for a test of 20. If that fails us, we'll be making our way down to this imbalance all the way down to about the 19 area it goes. And then AMC is looking kind of weak as well. We ended up losing 4.5. So our next target would be all the way down here towards 4.31, if not 4.2. So AMC is looking a bit more bearish. Market looks like it has more downside potential, but we'll see how things go. Could this cause NIO to dip tomorrow? It's possible, but NIO is just kind of consolidating. So I wouldn't be surprised if we test 4.8s tomorrow, come back up and just continue to trade sideways. But then I do anticipate more volatility once we get to June for better price action. All right, guys. So that is it for the video. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And be prepared for some big data coming out tomorrow before the market opens. All right. So get ready, guys. Do what you have to do. And I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you and peace out.